That was our board member, Sam.
I love it.
Okay, so we'll give it a couple of more seconds, and then when we get the okay, we'll start.
Oh, let me go ahead and post something on Instagram, you know?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Right?
I guess I gotta do the same thing, man.
Okay. Okay, I think we are live now on AirMeet, YouTube, and Facebook.
Yo.
All right. So hello, everyone. Good evening. Welcome to session 2 of our 3rd edition Featured Artist Q&A. My name is Veronica Castillo, and I will be your host for tonight. So just to give everyone an idea of how our event will run, for the first 30 minutes, I will be asking our featured artists some questions. Then we will open up the conversation to the audience. So if you have any of them, please drop them down on the chat and we will address them. For those joining us on AirMeet and you want to interact with the artists, please click on the raise your hand button and we'll get to you. So without further ado, let me introduce you to our guest tonight. Our first featured artist, Christian Astorga, is a 26-year-old Asian American director and cinematographer based out of Las Vegas, Nevada. Growing up immersed in hip-hop and pop culture, Christian picked up a love for film and multimedia in an effort to artistically contribute and work with local artists in Las Vegas. Since then, Christian has dabbled in a variety of different categories of film, including documentary, music videos, fashion, narrative, dance, etc. His passion working in film has allowed him to travel around the world working with a multitude of artists, musicians, and brands, most notably becoming the in-house director cinematographer for the Jabberwockies.
Woo!
And
I love this.
Our
Thank you.
second featured artist is Marquis Marasigan. He's a visual content producer based in Las Vegas, Nevada. He attended the film program within the College of Southern Nevada, where his short film, Spent, won Best Editing at the CSN Film Showcase and won a Student Emmy at the NATAS Pacific Southwest Division. From there, he interned at Artisans on Fire, a Las Vegas-based creative agency where he is now a senior video production coordinator. He has also collaborated and created many creative ads for Planet 13, Thrive, and Inyo. He also participated in a series of creative commercials for the Strat, including 3 Hyperlapse focus ads and a series of promos that currently play within the McCarran International Airport. Today, he still works at Artisans on Fire, creating long-form and short-form content for a variety of brands, ranging from traditional videography, hyperlapse videography, flow motion, and stop-motion animation. He still freelances on the side as a professional videographer and colorist. All right, so unfortunately, our third featured artist, Traiana Nescheva, wasn't able to join us tonight due to her call time for work. But we still want to give her a big shout out. Traiana is an avid filmmaker that's incredibly talented, so be sure to check her out on our website to know more about her. Alright, so before we jump onto the questions, please sit back and enjoy a short video showcasing the work of our lovely featured artist.
place, never wanted to. Always lived inside, never wanted you.
Убей, что на тебя направили, и ты просто убей. Martina, cadê o teu homem?
All right. Oh my
was
god.
so cool. That was awesome.
That was insane. Great
Like,
montage, guys.
just throw that in there like that. I was like, oh, this is happening right now. Yeah. I'm at a real panel in person. Right?
Exactly.
That's so dope. Well, again, thank you, Christian and Marquis, for being here. This is so wonderful to talk to you and get to interview you. So yeah, thank you. Give it up for Christian and Marquis. All right, so we'll start with some general questions just to get the flow of things going, and then and then this is just for both of you guys to answer, and feel free to like add to each other's answers or questions, like make that conversation go, and then I'll segue into specific questions for each of you. Okay?
Awesome. Sounds good.
Great. So our first general question would be, what was your experience like learning to use the camera for the first time? Was it difficult? And did you have a mentor or were you self-taught? Basically, film school or no film school?
You want to go first? I don't know. Yeah, go ahead.
All right. Well, so when I first handled the camera, it was basically because of film school. Actually, no, let's backtrack a bit. It was like we were using those like Sony mini DV cameras, like making short movies with my cousins. Like I guess that was my first official use of a camera. But when I graduated to like a DSLR, right, interchangeable lenses and stuff, I learned a lot of it from film school. I learned a ton from YouTube, and yeah, just like any kind of like informational source, I would try to grab and try to get better at using a camera, like camera movement settings, navigating the menus, what focal lengths work best in what situations, and stuff like that.
Yeah, as far as like picking up the camera, man, it goes back. I was definitely like hopping on that like initial YouTube wave back in the day, when YouTube was first coming out, and you know, I was in middle school and I just was like so inspired, and I thought it was so entertaining to watch a lot of the first YouTube content that got put out there, like all the silly stuff. And me and my cousins were like, yo, we could do this, you know? So I ended up picking up my parents' like small like camera, didn't even shoot HD at the time. And I just started shooting like what I could. And I kind of generated a curiosity from there. It was all a hobby up until I took my first broadcast journalism class in high school. And that kind of changed everything as far as my perspective on taking it seriously in the future, and kind of realizing like, oh, there's a lot of knowledge here that I need to like pick up on, you know? So there was definitely like, just speaking in general, there was definitely a process, right, of learning. But I definitely picked up in general, like the love for it at first, you know, and it kind of, you know, transitioned into, you know, the technical side of things, like, oh, this is how you work a camera, or like, this is how you transfer data over to like, you know, Final Cut Pro 7 back in the day. So yeah, I hopefully that answers the question. So yeah.
And so kind of going on based on that, so when you first start out as a cinematographer, videographer, and you have like a minimal to low budget, you know, camera gear or lighting gear, like what advice? How do you do that? How do you start? What advice would you give to someone who's like starting out that way?
Yeah, I think 2020 is different.
It truly
10 years,
is.
like 10 years ago, 15 years ago, when like DSLR cameras just started coming out, like it's so much easier for people to get into the game now. Like as far as like if you are an aspiring creative and want to create, like it's easy now. Like as far as like there's a quality threshold that's met on a lot of this new technology that's out right now, like new cameras, the accessibility, the pricing, it's so much lower. I think for a lot of people, like just don't get intimidated by a lot of like what is considered like professional, because we're kind of at a point now where anyone can kind of pick up a camera, and at that point it's like you're it is what you create that's awesome, like I think there is just to have that confidence as far as like wanting to get better every day, and knowing that the accessibility is there, man. Like anyone can get into this right now, it just takes a lot of like hard work and effort. I know Marquis mentioned YouTube, like all the information is there now, it's accessible, it's readily accessible. So
Yeah.
2020 is different. Like if you want to get into it, it's awesome.
Dude, even like the iPhone cameras, not even just like the iPhone 12, like even like an iPhone 8 that records 4K 60, and you can turn on HDR
there's
to
no
like tweak the colors and stuff.
You could make something good with an iPhone.
Yeah.
Like genuinely, like I'm like, you could do a music video on an iPhone and it'll look super professional. So
Yeah, as long as you like look up your tips on YouTube, like how do you get like the perfect like lighting ratios for what you want in your mood, right? Because you don't need these expensive. That takes another turn. Like 10 years ago, these lighting setups were expensive as hell. They got super hot. They were bulky, but now you can get like GVM panels for like $50, and that'll be perfect or just fine for a low budget music video using your iPhone. As long as you know how to maneuver a light the way you want it to, diffuse it the way you want it to, it's gonna look good. You just gotta put in the work, just like exactly like Christian said.
Dope. That's some great advice. So let's talk about, like, aside from your academic setting, what's something you have learned from your collaborators that you've picked up and adapted into your own filmmaking?
That's a good question.
yeah, I got to think about that.
Go
ahead, my guy.
This one's a thinker for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man. Well, I mean, it goes to show like let's talk about like film school. Like you can't learn everything in a classroom, right? Like going out there and actually doing is where you learn the most. And then where you learn a lot from it is like your collaborators with more experience. You kind of see the way they work a camera, and you're like, oh man, I would never think to set up a camera like that to get that type of angle, but it works. It looks amazing. Or you see your homie chopping up a sequence, and you're like, what? I would never think of putting that effect into that type of way, and yeah, it's just experimenting and seeing like what other people are doing and just trying to add that to your recipe of editing and shooting and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, piggybacking off of that, personally, I actually didn't go to film school. And I a lot of everything that I learned was kind of self-taught. And I definitely attribute a lot of experience to just being on set, there's still a lot that I personally have to learn, but there's so much you learn on set. And shout out to all those people, who allowed me to be there as a spectator, doing whatever I can to just like see what's going on. I think cinematography is very hands-on. There is a lot that can be learned on set and just watching other professionals do their thing. There's like endless possibilities, it's all, I look at like a set as like a canvas, and everyone's kind of playing their role, and everyone has their own like bit of knowledge depending on what their position is, like there's a lot of, on a personal note, a lot of grip lighting stuff that I personally just have not had enough experience on, and I still learn to this day, so yeah, just like being a sponge to what other people are doing, and knowledge is everything, right? And just having those conversations and not being shy to ask like questions, I think goes a long way. I know a lot of times back however many years back, I'd be shy to ask questions, and now it's like I don't mind. It goes a long way. I think being able to like just go out of your way and be like, hey, like how do you do that? Or like, hey, I really appreciated the way you did that. Like, could you show me how? You'd be surprised with how much further you can get as far as like absorbing information. So yeah, I think that's what I would say that I've taken from learning from other people and stuff. So
That's dope. Aw, that's really great. So I guess working with your collaborators and like going based off that, and you guys work with a lot of like high-end like clients. How do you pitch an idea to them when working on a project?
Well, I think there's there's a multitude of ways to do that, right? My way is, or what I think works for me is I would write a treatment, maybe like a 4 to 5 sentence summary of what encompasses the actual video, throw in some inspo, links, like some YouTube links, Vimeo links to what you kind of want that look to kind of feel like, throw some pictures, stills, and then just throw it at them and see if they bite. And usually they do, if you make it look pretty enough,
No, all the way. It's all about making it look pretty, right?
Yeah,
no,
exactly.
Yeah, I agree with, everything he said. It really varies, right? I think it's funny because in the creative field, right, there's like professionalism is a perception for sure. And as far as selling what you want to, selling what your work to like a client, it all varies on the client, It could be as simple as a conversation pitch, and go as far as like he said, a treatment. I've worked on both ends of the spectrum as far as like basic conversation leading to a job, or something that where I'm like, yo, I really got to go out of my way and get this, or like maybe it's a corporate client, and they want to do things like very very corporate. It's really like putting that PDF presentation frame by frame, shot list or whatever.
Little PowerPoint.
It really varies. And I think an important thing I think that I've learned is gauging your client, or gauging the vibe. I guess I'm not finding the correct word or terminology right now, but gauging what the vibe and the energy of who you're working with. I think really goes a long way when you're able to curate something, or like your pitch to that individual. I think it really helps as far as being more personable, and just being more relatable to whoever you're trying to work with,
Right.
So yeah.
And so when you are working with like clients and they want like a specific look, but they don't have the terminology to like tell you exactly what it is, like how do you go about like finding that with that ground, or that what they're looking for, their idea? Like let's say they don't know like the camera movements, or like they can't verbalize it, but they have like the idea. Like how do you work with them to like get their idea on the screen?
You did a great job.
I like to ask them to like explain it to me like I'm 5, right? Like what do you like describe to me what you want. So they'll be like, oh, I kind of want to make it look like one side of the face is dark and like the other side of the face is like lit up. It's like, oh, so you want like a 3-to-1 lighting ratio, or do you want it to be contrasty? I get it. Or do you know that movement where it kind of like flies in and then you're in the next scene? It's like, oh, so you want to add like a zoom transition? Okay, I feel you.
That's how it is all the time, bro.
Yeah, exactly.
I explain it.
Yeah, so just I always be like, yeah, explain to me like I'm 5, like what you want, and then I'll try to maneuver the terminologies to get to the right spot. That works for me.
Yeah, I think like there's definitely, man, it's funny. It a part of like, obviously a certain client reaching out to you is like kind of special in the sense of they're looking to you and whatever your interpretation is of what they want, right?
Mm-hmm.
Definitely agree with everything he said, because that's how the conversation is a lot of times.
It
Like,
really
yo,
is.
can you do this shot? Like when it's like, the camera's panning, and I'm like, oh, I know what you're talking about. And it happens so often. It's funny. But
All the
yeah,
time.
it's just really like, to me, it's like funny and it's fun, like I think when you're having creative conversation, like you don't have to be so pinpoint on like technicalities, right? It's for most people who don't know film terminology, it's like whatever, it's just a fun conversation, and we're trying to create the imagery that you have in your mind, and it's working together and collaborating on what that may be. I think a lot of people don't actually know what they want sometimes, and it's
Mm-hmm.
like up to us as the creative to like kind of guide them, towards what they really want. Show them different options, show them different examples.
Yeah.
I'm sure you've had that send me a reference, or like
Yeah.
let me show you what it's really just kind of playing that conversation and
Hmm.
figuring it out. And I think a lot of people don't realize that as creatives, depending on like, again, your role, you have to kind of guide your client at the same time. Some clients know exactly what they want, and some kind of don't. They want something cool, and then like, all right, what's cool to you?
Yeah.
Do you think it's often like frustrating when a client has like not like a clear idea of what they want and just expect you to like do it for them?
I think it depends. I've had positive and negative experiences for sure.
Yeah.
It depends on the person you're talking to. Some people just get so frustrated that it becomes something negative. Some people are like, yo, that's cool. Some people like know exactly what they want. Like I said, some people are kind of just going with the flow and like saying yes to everything you show them.
Yeah.
Yeah. And sometimes they say yes, but they don't know what they're saying yes
Yeah, yeah. I'm like, all right,
to.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. It just it's a lot of there's a lot of patience sprinkled in there too, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
at a certain point, you have to also realize that when you're working with a client, technically they're the ones paying. Depending on the context, they're the ones paying you. So you have to have, a bit of patience in making those decisions and having those conversations and stuff. So yeah.
Right. Okay. Okay. So now Las Vegas is definitely growing. And there's a lot of opportunities to do commercial work and also like narrative stuff too. But would you ever consider moving to a different city like LA or just another place that's like film and for your career? Or do you think Vegas has those opportunities for you here?
I want to hear your opinion, Christian, first, to be
Uh,
honest.
okay. So growing up in Vegas, I was like raised here. Um, my personal outlook in life in high school was like my dream was to move to like LA or New York and like make it big in the industry. But in the midst of like that, me wishing that, I just continued to try my best, in town, and kind of working in town and becoming successful from that allowed me to kind of open my eyes a little more and learn about like the opportunities that being in town, provided for myself. There's a lot of, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of work in LA, obviously, like for film. Like it's like, holy, I follow so many people on Instagram. They're always on a production every day, but there's a big difference working in Vegas versus there. I think what I learned, that I was really grateful to have learned, was that working in Vegas and becoming really good in Vegas, it's not as oversaturated of a market as an LA or a New York would be. So it's a lot easier to get your name out and
Mm-hmm.
become like be on top out here, I guess, and becoming successful in your own city you meet people who are also successful in your city that work, out of town. So although I didn't end up moving to like LA or New York, I ended up working there anyway, just off of the sheer effort that I put in locally, I think the biggest takeaway again is like, yeah, the oversaturation of those markets. And I learned that, the hard way, I know I have conversations with cinematographers and directors who, are out of town, and they tell me about like some of their struggles, you know what I mean? And I kind of tell myself, I'm grateful that I didn't move out of Vegas, just off the rip, you know what I mean? Not to down that, because I think that, if I had the opportunity, I probably still, would have, but yeah, it's definitely like different for sure, So just remembering that there is opportunity locally. There's so much opportunity. And again, like we were talking about piggybacking on like it being 2020, the need for content is so high, and there's so many tier levels of content creation now. I think we could talk on like the high level of like Hollywood cinema all the way to like, making a small like YouTube video, or like, like there's small business needs. There's like, there's so much need for production now, and even content creating for yourself. You know what I mean? There's endless possibilities, and things can be done at home now. We're doing this here virtually.
Yeah, remotely.
So like, just I don't think anyone should feel down on not being in a quote unquote hotspot.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail like right on the head. Everyone in the industry always feels like Hollywood is the pinnacle of success in your video career, but people fail to realize that there's so much other branches. Like Christian said, there's small businesses, there's plenty of corporate jobs out there that'll pay you good money to make some boring talking head videos with some B-roll. It's easy stuff, and you can be successful just doing that. And then there's people who there's like local artists that will want music videos, promo ads for their social media. I feel like social media alone just gave creators so much opportunities to get their visuals and their brand out there, and it's just an insane time. It's like this day and age is like the golden age of videography and photography and graphic design, because everybody needs that.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Sorry, I don't know if you guys are going to continue.
No, yeah, go ahead.
So that goes along with like my question, the next one. That is a bit tricky to answer, but do you think COVID has affected your work in general and your personal projects? Do you think there's going to be like a big like surge of like weird or awesome or just different arts? Like, how has it affected you?
COVID, actually, it's kind of funny. When COVID first hit, I think a lot of people, it was actually really sad. So a lot of people got laid off, right? And there's like the social distancing thing, and everyone had to stay at home. But where I work, I was in kind of a special little spot, because the workers who could work from home, like the graphic designers and like the social media coordinators, work remotely, but video and photo needed the studio and the server space to still work. So even during like the height of quarantine, I was still going to and from work every day. So it kind of felt normal. And the difference was we weren't doing external shoots anymore. It was all internal. There's only 4 people in the whole entire building the whole entire time. We had to wear masks the whole time. But to me, it wasn't that different. So I don't think my experience can be a good gauge to that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's very skeleton.
Yeah, extremely skeleton.
Yeah. For me, I could speak on like on 2 different levels, as far as like my creative life personally, as well as my professional life, like say like in-house with Jabberwockies. I guess I'll go off of the professional end first. Like for us, man, it was definitely different. Our whole operation kind of shut down, our show on the Strip had to, come to a pause forcefully. And, we actually had a ton of things lined up for the year that just all got canceled, Mm-hmm. And, it's just not even just us, but like entertainment in general, obviously. So yeah, we kind of had to switch our whole operation to social media. And our in-house like team, we kind of were on the same tip. Like all we really could do now at that point was produce stuff and make really cool like social media videos, YouTube stuff. So we were, shooting and obviously taking COVID very seriously, precautions wise. The only people I would ever see were like, people in my home and then I'd go to work and everyone at work is doing the same thing, taking like heavy precautions, and we still do, but yeah, like it definitely was a change though, because like, you can only do so much, from the morale end when you're just seeing the same people over and over again, shooting the same stuff over and over again. And that's a kind of me transitioning to my personal life. This year to me, like just personally, it was just so bland. I do a lot of freelance work outside of Jabberwockies, and I'm fortunate enough to still have picked up a couple gigs here and there, but I didn't have a chance to do like as many passion projects that I personally love doing passion projects. I try to do as many as I can in a year, and I just haven't done many, I guess. This year it's been just, quiet. Being at home, I'm very sociable as well. I feel like that inspires me, and to not be able to have like as much social interaction, and just being out there at like events and going out of town, it kind of really hindered my inspiration. I actually personally I'm recovering from COVID right now. I had it. Well,
oh my God.
I'm double negative though now, but I caught it 3 weeks ago on Thanksgiving. Actually, that's the second wave is real, guys. So be careful.
Oh my God.
Be safe. Yeah.
Oh, sorry, man. At least you're good now.
Yeah, no, I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm great. Thankfully. And it's just been, just quite the year. And I think, speaking from a creative standpoint, like a lot of that morale plays a big part in my life as far as like what I want to do passionately, and just to see like kind of, headlines everywhere, and, initially seeing productions being shut down, it was really dampening the mood. And I think I'm still finding myself today, in 2020 going into Christmas, finding more motivation and trying to stay positive through everything, and then I'm looking forward to the future, and hoping that I can get back into my like super, super positive creative mode. I'm still doing stuff, I'm fortunate to have work and everything, but like, again, like it's the passion in me that I'm trying to find myself glow again. You know what I mean? Through all this craziness this year. So,
dude, once things go back to normal, all that pent up creativity,
is
just gonna explode.
Yeah, dude.
We're gonna do some crazy stuff, bro.
Yeah, and it's I'm ready to get back on it.
Yeah, I think everybody is.
Awesome. Yeah. Yes. Well, I'm so glad you're feeling better, and it's scary out there for a lot of people, for sure.
Again, everyone like take it seriously. It does not feel good. So
yeah, no.
Yeah.
I bet it doesn't, dude.
Oh man. Well, let's get into the personal questions, and we'll start with Marquis. So, let's talk about Artisans on Fire. What's your advice to artists and filmmakers working with companies on their social media branding and creating content for them?
So some advice on working with like just branding in general for social media. Well, I say if you're inspired by a certain product and you want to work with a specific company, try to do a deep dive on that company itself, right? What colors they use, what typefaces they use, implement that into your video, and then add like your little artistic spin to it. So make it beautiful, but sell the product well, and keep it in the same vein as like the guidelines of their branding books and stuff like that. You just gotta go out there and just create, and just make it crazy, make it good.
And I know you use flow motion and hyperlapse, but can you explain to us like who we don't know about that, like what is that?
So flow motion and hyperlapse are essentially like in the same vein as like time-lapse photography, right? So it's just a series of stills stitched together to make this cool, like staccatic, stop-motion-y looking video. If you do it super well, it'll be like buttery smooth, like Tommy Lundberg style type of hyperlapses. But so yeah, it's just a series of stills stitched together. But with flow motion, though, it's kind of like a subdivision of hyperlapse in a way. It looks like it's just a one take, but you're doing these like crazy transitions where you're going through like windows that turn into other scenes, and because it's all shot on photos, there's something with grading photos that make it look so much more distinctive than grading video. I don't know, it's just more vibrant and it just looks so cool. And yeah.
So how do you decide what's the appropriate style to use for like a video or for like the company itself? Or these like ideas obviously that you have for yourself, but like I guess like how do you know like it's gonna work for this?
I mean, you just gotta try,
You
right?
try.
That's like everything creative. You just gotta just throw it in there and see if it works. Like you see it in like a ton of travel films or just like unique commercials where they'll throw in like like 2 or 3 sequences of hyperlapses to break up the video a bit, and it kind of puts the audience in awe because it's like, oh, that's totally different, but it looks so cool. And then if you want to do like a hyperlapse for a whole entire video, that's a lot of commitment. That's like a butt ton of work. You're taking like thousands of stills, grading them, and then stitching it together, and then you have to do the transitions. You have to make sure it's stabilized and looks smooth and stuff. But if you can do a whole entire hyperlapse, it doesn't really matter like how polished it is. Well, I guess it kind of does. It has to be a certain amount of polish, but if you succeed in doing that and making a complete video of a full like time lapse videography, like it's gonna succeed because it's so unique, it's so different. It's gonna wow the client because clients don't really see full on hyperlapse videography or flow motion videography. So it's just something unique to wow the clients. So if you feel like you want to do a hyperlapse videography, I say just do it. Don't second guess.
Okay.
Just do it. Just try it out and see if it works. You know.
Okay. So, I know you went to CSN, and CSN has a wonderful program for like film and videography. I mean, the equipment's like wow. So, how much do you think your educational background has helped you land, these gigs?
Honestly, I don't. So that's like a tough question, right? Because film school is like, it's like 50-50. It's like one half says it's great. It's like you gain so much knowledge and all these technical skills and like the networking side, and then the other side's like, well, you can learn this all on the internet and stuff like that. I'm on the side where if we're looking for a videographer for our company, right? We have hundreds of applicants applying. We don't look at their educational background. We look at their reels. We look at their portfolio. You could have graduated from NYC Film School or whatever big film schools out there, and if your portfolio is garbage, but you graduate from this amazing film school, like what's the point? You know what I mean? So education wise, educational background doesn't matter as much as your actual work.
Okay. Thank you for answering that.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to Christian. Okay, so Christian, what advice would you give to people who are interested in film and cinematography, but aren't going to school for it or are haven't gone to it for it?
Yeah, again, I kind of piggybacking off of everything was said earlier. Yeah, man, just if you're interested, try it out. I personally, I've encouraged a couple of friends who like been curious, like, oh, should I buy a camera, or like I got a budget like $500, trying to buy a camera. What should I get? Those types of conversations. You'd be surprised how much those conversations can spark a passion. So like I just encourage everyone creatively to remain curious and pursue finding those outlets and navigating like what would work for you to learn more about this kind of field. There's a lot to take in for sure. Again, like, there's so much knowledge on the internet that you can have access to. Don't ever get discouraged. There's a lot of people who know a lot of things, right? And it's okay not to know everything. But it is not, what's not okay is if you want to get into this seriously, to be content. I think I encourage everyone to continue being a sponge, learn more, put yourself in situations where you can meet other people who can help lift you up. People who aren't who are open with what they know, information wise. There's people who are willing to help you out and answer your questions, and then there's other people who are a little more stingy about it. But in general, just maintaining patience and knowing that it's very accessible and very doable, and stay positive. So,
Stay humble too. It's not always a competition.
Yeah.
That's what people need to know. It's not a competition at all.
It's not a competition at all.
Yes.
It's a creative world, so so
yeah.
All right. So based on your bio and like your content, you mentioned that hip hop and pop culture is what propelled you into film. What are some big influences?
Oh man, again, like growing up in Vegas, when back in high school, like I really got involved in a lot of local rap music group stuff. I was trying to shoot as many music videos as I could back then, and I kind of had a passion in just watching every big rapper's new music video that would come out like every week. I think in general, all of those music videos that I would watch like on MTV and everything really propelled me to like, yo, that's so cool. I want to make cool videos like that. Kind of that desire made me want to learn how to edit specifically, like this effect that was in this music video, I need to learn how to do that effect, and me learning that effect taught me how to use a particular tool in, Adobe Premiere, Final Cut, After Effects. I had a motive, I had a motivation from watching those videos and me wanting to do that same thing, that kind of really inspired me to wanting to do better, making music videos that I look back now and I'm like, oh dude, that's so bad, but like I look at all of those music videos chronologically and I just see the growth, I really attribute having a passion for something that allowed me to push forward. I think for me, that was music videos, wanting to contribute to helping my friend's rap career or work with my favorite rapper or my favorite artist. I want to shoot them. Like that gave me so much motivation. I think for a lot of other people, like filmmakers who are in film school, they're inspired by their favorite movie. You want to be on your Christopher Nolan or your Scorsese or whatever, you got to embrace that passion, that flame inside of your heart, and you have to ignite. You know what I mean? You have to take it all the way. And if you can find something like that for yourself that you're that passionate about and you can embrace, you'll have that utmost confidence in wanting to become a better you, So yeah, I think going back, I don't have a specific inspiration like that I could name off top. I could just definitely say overall the culture that I was involved in at the time was like everything for me. And like, yeah, I just attribute all my success to that for sure.
Okay, cool. That's great. Okay, so I'm going to start with the audience questions. So the first audience question I have is from Mikhail Martinez from YouTube. They asked, do you experience fatigue, burnout working in film? How do you overcome this?
Oh, there's so many times where you're in crunch mode and you have like long hours on set because you're trying to crush this project, right? I feel like the number one thing that gets me through it all is just good company. Surround yourself with good homies that support you, good coworkers that help you out through everything, where you can just like laugh it off, have a good time. As long as you're having fun at set, you can have a 12-hour day, but it won't feel like anything. You know what I mean? It just flies by because you're having fun with your friends. You're making cool stuff with your friends, and I think it's just like the funnest thing, and that really gets me through a really long shoot day for sure.
Yo, that food, you know what I'm saying? Food and water. Yo, that's everything, bro. It doesn't matter what it is. If there's food when you're feeling low, yo, it's back up, man. As much as you need it to.
You tell me you catered canes for the whole entire crew?
Let's
get it.
I'm going another 12 hours.
Yeah.
So I have to ask, what's your favorite hot meal on set?
Man, I can't turn down, and I can't turn down anything, but like, yo, I'm down with the pizza. You know what I mean? Like the lazy pizza, crafty. Yo,
Pizza's
I
classic.
don't mind. I'm not picky. Just food. I'm good.
I remember in film school, I think they had to cater for us, and someone catered In-N-Out. That was probably
Oh, yo,
one of the
that's
best
Wow.
yo, they blessed you. They blessed.
I know. I was like, they
I've
found us
never seen that before.
one.
That's a lot.
It's crazy.
That's crazy.
Aw.
Yeah.
Okay, our second question is from Blake Gilmore. He asked, to both artists, what's your favorite jack of all trades lighting setup? One that you find yourself going back to for almost every project.
Oh, I'm sorry. What kind of setup?
Jack of all trades setup, like one that you find yourself going back to almost every project.
Like 90, or I'll say, yeah, like 90% of the stuff we shoot here at Artisans that I've been using would be the Blackmagic Pocket 4K, the Olympus 12 to 40 f.2 lens, and then on that there's like a gold mount battery adapter for it. So I slap that on there, and then little wooden handle. That thing runs for like 4 hours. I'm good all day.
Yo, what's up, Blake? Long time. Yo, Blake, shout out Blake, man. I just remember watching him set up a ton of lighting stuff for like the UNLV Regal thing, and like just so much. He's really dope. Man, yo, you know what? All I need is that light and that C-stand, and I just, that overhead, softbox. It's a wrap. That's the quick setup. Nah, I'm just kidding though. That usually, I do a lot of like soft lighting setups, whether it's bouncing it off the ceiling, overhead soft boxes, or like setting up butterfly stands or whatever, or butterfly frames and everything. Just beautiful, soft, natural lighting, gets the job done, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, you guys are talking about lighting setups? I thought you were saying camera setups.
No, camera and lighting setups.
I see.
Yeah, okay, so our next question is from Monica Manga Cat from YouTube. My question is, how do you overcome creative roadblocks? As an inspiring filmmaker, I try and find inspiration from other artists, but worry I can't find my own personal style or voice.
You know what? There's nothing wrong with being like inspired or influenced by other artists. I think, well, it depending on the person, right? Like I know some people who refrain from trying to see other people's stuff because they fear that it may overtake their individual style, and then there's other people who kind of see something and personally speaking, I see something and it kind of, oh my god, I need to do it better, or I need to do, what I'm saying, like that kind of fire, I guess, when you watch something. I think just being confident. Like I feel like inspiration can come from everywhere other than just references or like going outside and having conversations with people, moments in life. It's definitely tough. There's no one right answer as far as like what's gonna motivate you or inspire you. And I could definitely relate with there being a fear and watching other people's stuff and like, having that fear of trying to emulate it a little too much. Just be more conscious of what you're taking from things, and like, if it's getting that bad for you. I think it's better to emulate something and realize that you emulated something a little too much, versus like not trying something new at all. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
Shout out to Monica and Mikhail, by the way. Those are my homies. Those are really you guys asked, by the way. But yeah, just like Christian said, huge inspo from just looking at other people's work. I don't think people realize that basically every single artist is inspired by somebody else. Even if you don't think it is, it probably is.
Yeah,
it's everything that you see.
Especially in 2020.
Yeah, especially in 2020.
Let's be honest,
we're getting flooded with hella content consistently, and good content as well from all these creative people, and you're just like, wow, that is such a dope way that person did it. I'm gonna try to do it. I'm gonna try to imitate it. You know what I mean? And then once you perfected that imitation, then you add your little twist to it to make it your own, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the real creative cycle right now too. You know, making a better version, a different version, a personalized version.
I think there's like I don't know, Chris Doe from the future, one of these like big time agencies. I think he has a video that says everything you know is a remix, right? So it's the same exact thing. Everything is just a remix from somebody else's idea or whatever, and that's a good way to combat the roadblocks.
Okay. Our next question is from George. Sorry, George, I can't pronounce your last name. I'm sorry, but he asks, do you have any advice for starting cinematographers or videographers trying to grow their brand or business?
Any advice to grow brand or business?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think the first step to try to, as a cinematographer or aspiring filmmaker, to grow your brand is to find your style and try to work on that style and make it your own. You just got to be hungry, I guess. Just go at it full force and just keep on learning, and eventually you'll make that brand your own.
Yeah, I think I guess getting into like the technicalities, if you want to look at it from a business perspective and not necessarily like a personal creative aesthetic perspective, stay on top of like, you know, your social media, your content creation, getting your work out there, you know, in a very particular way, you know, like it's a real funnel, you know, as far as getting your work out, you know, keeping your Instagram updated, making yourself more marketable, you know, building those relationships with other people, stay in contact with everybody, you know. You never know who your next client will be, and you never know how you're going to get your next gig. Just make yourself accessible, put yourself out there, you know. And obviously in 2020, social media is like so crazy right now. You know, you could put your work on your Instagram, and you know, people will really appreciate it and message you and like, hey, you know, let's work. So just know that those things are very powerful, and you know, do it the best you can. It's worth learning more about your social media and how to grow your following. So, yeah.
Okay. All right, so we have one last audience question, and it's from Jared. I have seen a lot of your work creatively advertising local businesses and ideas. Would you see yourselves venturing into different avenues in the future, such as promoting healthcare workers?
Oh yeah, most definitely. I mean, like a series of videos promoting healthcare workers and like the stuff that they have to go through every single day, especially this year. That sounds like an awesome project. Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I think, you know, content is not, you know, you could look at content at face value, but there's a story behind content, and I think obviously any story is an opportunity to, you know, influence somebody, or, you know, just telling your story and getting it to the right people. So definitely an opportunity always for something like that.
Okay. All right, so that's our last audience question. Now we have one from the Eccentric Artists team. Obviously, this is really important, so take it seriously. Shrek 1 or Shrek 2?
Hey, Shrek 2! I love Shrek. That's crazy. What a question.
Toughie. I gotta say Shrek 1. When they brought out Smash Mouth and they did that whole ending where everyone's just dancing to All Star, killer.
That was a whole.
It was a vibe.
I think I'm attached to Shrek 2 because I played the video games. I did the whole 9. So Shrek 2 for me personally was like, it just took it to the next level. Like I was like, yo, who are all these new characters? Like, you know, it was my first real animated sequel. I was so hyped. Like, come on, they're gonna make a Shrek 2? What? So when it came out, I was like, yo, that's crazy, you know? So I mean, that's just my bias right there. Speaking.
Shrek 2? Okay. Okay, sorry. One last question. From Sam, if you could shoot with only one focal length for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Oh, this is gonna sound so basic. I'm gonna have to go with a 35 mil, 35
Hey,
equivalent.
yo.
You can get uh,
Oh, sorry, that's from Alex.
this
Alex.
from Alec. 35
Yeah.
mil for sure, just because it's wide enough to get dope sceneries, but you can punch into a face and it won't distort the face too much as well, as long as you like line it up correctly enough. Yeah, I would have to say 35.
You know, I'm going with that nifty 50. You know what I mean? That's
Nifty
me right
50.
there. I love 35 though, but like, 50 millimeters. Has a soft spot in my heart. You know what I mean? So
That bokeh, bro.
All right. Well, again, thank you, Marquis Christian, for being here with us tonight. It was a pleasure talking to you. That's all we have. And again, thank you to everyone who's watching too. Be sure to check them out on our website. Go follow their social medias on there, so go follow their subscribe to their YouTube. Go follow them on their Instagram. Please get to know them because these are awesome artists. And Christian and Marquise, if you have any closing statements or any shout outs, go ahead and do your thing.
After you, sir. After you.
hey, shout out to everyone who tuned in. I think this shout out to Eccentric Artists. This is like a super dope platform. I'm really happy you guys are doing this, letting people, other creatives, talk their talk. And yeah, just to any aspiring creators out there, if you're ever feeling down, man, keep doing you. Stay positive, stay confident, and just be the best person you can be every day. So.
I'd have to shout out my friends and family. I know they're all watching. A lot of those dope questions was from them, so thanks for asking those questions, guys.
Yeah.
Shout out to my girlfriend Alexis, and shout out to just the homies of the world. We're all just living. My coworker's laughing at me.
Yeah.
We're all living this, this situation together. We're all making the best of it. So it's almost over. Things are going to be normal soon. I promise. Keep your heads up.
Yes. All right. Thank you so much. So before we sign off, Eccentric Artists would like to plug some events coming up. Our last film discussion and last event of the year will be tomorrow, Saturday, December 19th at 6:30 p.m., where we'll be talking about the beloved Love Actually. So if you haven't seen that movie or if it's your top favorite, go ahead and RSVP. We'll see you there tomorrow. Also, we are ongoingly accepting submissions for our EA Film Showcase, where we asked artists to submit a film they're most proud of, regardless of whenever you made it. So deadline is January 1st, and the screening will be on January 3rd. And also, we want to thank everyone who has already submitted. A reminder that the Audience Award winner will be receiving a special exclusive Eccentric Artist shirt once our merch is up and running. So go submit. And we at Eccentric Artists are wishing everyone a happy holiday season, and we can't wait to return next year with some new ideas that we have in store for you. So, it's going to be really cool, and thank you everyone for supporting us and for allowing us to work with so many cool artists that we get to interview you. And yeah, I think that's all we have for today. Everyone have a beautiful night, and we'll see you next time. Thank you, Marquise. Thank you, Christian. Woo.